So under Ghanaian law, once you marry under the ordinance, you cannot marry under any other system. So if Kwame takes Ama and they either go to the marriage registry, they either go to the registrar general, or they marry in a church and knows that it's also specific, because there are some churches that have the authority to issue the certificates. So for instance, Methodist, Presby, Catholic, and then some of the recognized churches that have the authority to issue certificates. Okay. Once you marry there, you cannot marry anywhere else.
Once you conduct an ordinance marriage.
Or an ordinance marriage, you cannot marry even under custom.
Yes, you can't marry under custom.
You cannot marry. Yeah. It's bars you. So it is ordinance in Ghana and ordinance in the equivalent in UK, in Germany, in anywhere. So also under German civil law, once you contract a marriage under ordinance under German civil law, you can equally not marry under any system again.
It's strictly monogamous.
It's strictly monogamous. A similar thing.
And this is the marriage that she's alleging was conducted in Germany.
And no order for dissolution, no divorce.
Since then, there's been no order.
There has been no order.
Does she explain the separation of she and her partner in the writs anyhow?
Well, the thing is, the ambit of divorce is strict. Separation doesn't come in. Divorce is a legal technical term. Was the order given by the courts?
So you mean divorce is not gleaned by behavior?
No.
It should be found out from the fact.
Yes.
Presented before a court, which grants the application.
Yes.
Until and unless such an application is granted, under the law, the parties are deemed married.
Married, yes. Okay. Either that, or if it's under custom, you have to perform the specific rites that are recognized under custom. So, for example, for the accounts, you have to come back to the woman's family and the woman would give you the drink. Often, when they give you the schnapp, they can give you maybe 3-4 bottles of schnapp. The family is supposed to keep one. They can drink 2 or 3, but they must keep 1 bottle.
As evidence?
Yes, as evidence of marriage. And that bottle will also be returned in occasion of divorce.
Okay, so if you marry under ordinance in Germany,
yes,
and you come to Kumasi, can you divorce that marriage? Can you dissolve that marriage by a traditional process?
No.
If you undertake a traditional process, it will be null and void?
It will be null and void. Traditional process can only be applied to traditional marriage. That is the return of the drinks. So for instance, under Islam, they have certain specific rites they perform where the man can see talak, talak, talak. After obviously they've seen the imam and there has been investigation as to whether the divorce has broken down. And then after that, they are supposed to have that divorce also registered at the local district. So those are the ambits for which, and this has not been done in this instance. And so once you do that, you commit a misdemeanor.
Once you marry whilst you are in another marriage legally.
Yes.
Which is what she's alleging that Daddy Lumba did.
Yes.
With Odobroni.
Odobroni. That is, if she's able to substantiate or show that indeed they married under another system, and that she's able to show that still, per the marriage certificate issued in Bornheim, Germany, there has been no dissolution of the marriage thereafter. Then it's bigamy, and then obviously the man is no more, so he cannot be charged of bigamy. But this is just for legal education.
But it will mean that the rights of Odobroni will be affected.
Yes, will be extinguished.
So if, for instance, if Lumba has died intestate, and therefore the estate is subject to the interstate succession law.
Yes.
And the interstate succession law says that 1/3 to wife, 1/3 to family, isn't it?
And 1/3
and 1/3 to children. Then the 1/3 to the wife will have to go to
the legally recognized wife.
However,
Odobroni's children, so long as they were children of Daddy Lumba, would be entitled
even if they're over 18.
If they are above 18, they may not be entitled as dependents.
Okay.
So above 18, the law is that there's actually Humphrey Bonsu versus Quaino that specifically mentioned this principle that above 18, they would not be deemed to be dependents of the deceased, and then consequently entitled as of rights from his estates. But as children, generally, they may be.
But if he died with a will, and in the will he gives Odobroni that she says that's my house in East Legon to my wife Odobroni, how will the law evaluate that?
Then to my wife, who is the wife?
If he writes to my wife Odobroni, and now she's saying that Odobroni cannot be described as a wife, So will they simply delete my wife and leave Odobroni to have the property?
So that is,
or what is going to happen?
So that is when they would have to engage the courts in an interpretative exercise. So we call that proving a will in solemn form. So proving a will in solemn form means that you are now we have proven the will in common form and proving the will in solemn form. In this instance, you are challenging some provision in the will. At times it can be maybe the signature did not look appropriate. At times it can be the description the person gave to one of the children. You know that maybe Mr. A was fighting with his child, but now in his will he's describing that child as my dearest boy. Those things can be challenged, but that would have to be.
But when it's challenged, does it nullify the entire?
It is the court that makes
document,
it's
or
the court
it takes that out and keeps the rest.
Oh yes, so long it's the specific provisions that you challenge in court. So if you are challenging provision A, that this goes to, or this is supposed to come to me, that is what we are dealing with. The court may not say that the will in and of itself, unless maybe you are challenging a part of the will that targets the essential validity of the full will.
During the trial, if during the trial the family has been sued, isn't it?
The head of family. That's another part.
Is a defendant. Is there something about it in law?
Yes, that's another part's argument. So that's another.
Is that not the right person to sue?
No, that's the right person to sue. But there's also a legal discussion about who has the rights to plan the burial of an individual. So the law, and this will actually come as a shocker to many people. So assuming this person is called Samuel, and Samuel writes a will that he wishes to be cremated, or he wishes for his body to be given to Kolebu for scientific purposes. When he dies, nobody is under a legal obligation to give his body to Kolebu or to cremate him. The rights that accrues to the rights concerning the planning of the funeral accrues to the family of Samuel. And so once you die, the property is not vested. Your body is not yours.
It's for the family.
It's more or less
so
for
they
the family.
decide whether they will honor what you want to do.
Exactly.
So they are going to have their funeral.
They
need not consult her. They need not consult her.
Yes, but the thing
must they invite her?
But good. So under Akan customary law, which was what I said earlier, there are specific functions the widow must play at the funeral. So they cannot, as family, also oust the widow from performing those functions at the funeral.
If they do not recognize her as the widow, because they say over the last 20 years we haven't seen her, our son, our brother, our uncle had a very bad toxic relationship with her. We don't want to see her. She's the reason why our uncle died. Odobroni has come into his life and made him better. Without Odobroni, he would have died 10 years earlier. If they say these things, is it inconsequential to the law?
She's the widow.
But so that's if she succeeds.
That's if she succeeds. She's the widow. And so the relationship, whether or not the relationship was good. So 2 years ago, in March 2023, I attended the funeral in Kumasi, close to Kwamo, Pakoso. I don't know if you know that place.
Yeah, it's my village.
I attended the funeral there. A similar thing. The man was in UK, married the woman, ordinance and everything. As time went on, the marriage was problematic. He got a second wife. Now at the funeral,
second wife in London,
Ghana.
Okay.
So she was here. The plan was he had passed 60, and so he wanted to come to Ghana and then marry the second one, more or less, after finalizing a divorce. That was his intention. But when he came, the issue was that she was the wife. The first woman, the UK woman was the wife. And so the consensus of the family was to allow both of them perform. So she came, she did her procession. The first wife came, did the procession with the things that they used to wash the corpse. And then the second wife also came and also did her procession with the things they used to wash the corpse. Interestingly, it almost became at the grounds of the funeral.
Is it not really in law a conflict of laws question?
Yes.
Where German law is clashing with Ghanaian law, and therefore, because if the family knows Odobroni, then it suggests that there has been some processes between Daddy Lumba's family and Odobroni's family for Lumba's family to now recognize her, and then he as an individual has also contracted a marriage in another jurisdiction. It's a clear case of conflict of laws, isn't it?
Yes, but the thing is, once marriage is contracted somewhere, it is deemed recognized throughout the world.
Globally.
So marriage contracted in Ghana. So in fact, you can have an American citizen come to Ghana to contract marriage in Ghana, to get married to somebody. They would go to church in Ghana and sign. Once he goes to the US, though the marriage was contracted in Ghana, it is also applicable in the US.
So US will recognize that.
US will recognize that. And in fact, the lady can even use the marriage as a basis. Many people do it. The lady
travel.
Yes, to travel.
Yeah.
And
that is his wife.
That is the wife. And the
Irrespective
American
of the fact
government,
that-
it happened here.
Yeah, but if the marriage is celebrated by the American citizen in Ghana as a traditional marriage, not as an ordinance marriage, it's a traditional Ghanaian traditional marriage, which is polygamous.
Yes.
Potentially polygamous. If that American goes to America, his matrimonial law, the only matrimonial law that exists in America is monogamy. The polygamy is unknown to American jurisprudence in that regard. If you have gone to conduct a polygamous marriage, would America recognize your marriage as polygamous? And therefore, that you can potentially marry more within the context of the same traditional marriage?
You can only marry more within the context of the traditional marriage.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the story.
Will America recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, so if in that regard, you have married another woman, so you marry a Ghanaian traditionally, then you marry a South African traditionally, then you marry an Angolan traditionally, because all of these cultures allow the traditional polygamy thing. And then you file for their documents and you have 3 wives. Will the American State Department recognize that an American citizen has contracted a marriage that allows him to marry 3 wives when that is contrary to U.S. matrimonial causes?
With an American citizen. Now,
yes, the man is an American citizen.
The man is an American citizen.
Yeah, he's married 3 African women at different times, and a system that allows him to marry polygamy. He's in America. He wants them to have American citizenship as well, as spouses of American citizens are entitled. So he presents 3 spouses to the State Department. As give them all Americans because they are all my wives. But American law does not recognize that. In fact, it deems that as immoral.
Yes. So as an American citizen, now the dynamics have changed.
Yeah.
Because it's different if it was a Ghanaian citizen who is subject to Ghanaian law that respects and recognizes custom.
Okay,
as an American citizen, he is bound by American law, which does not recognize such potentially polygamous marriage.
So then an American citizen cannot reasonably contract a monogamous marriage in Ghana. He cannot. Because,
an American citizen?
Yes, an American citizen cannot conduct a monogamous, a polygamous marriage in Ghana. He can't.
He can contract a potentially polygamous marriage and possibly convert that potentially polygamous marriage
to an ordinance
marriage.
But I'm saying that
in the US,
if he conducts the polygamous marriage in Ghana, he's not allowed to take on another.
No, he's not allowed to take on another.
Because his personal law does not allow it.
Yes, his personal law, which is American law. As an American citizen.
Treat me like one of your students. Let's come to Daddy Lumba. Daddy Lumba is Ghanaian. The law that governs his life is Ghanaian. He finds himself in Germany. He's going to marry. He goes through a German process.
Yes.
He does not know that this process is contrary to the Ghanaian marriage process. He understands that he's getting married to somebody, as he would have gotten married to him in Bushe in Kumasi or Kwadasu in Kumasi or something like that. So he contracts the marriage. After a while, he's not quite interested in the marriage. He tells the family that I'm not interested. He comes to Ghana and marries Odobroni. As far as he is concerned, within the context of his personal law, has he committed an offense?
Yes.
Why?
Because the existence of ordinance is a matter of law. Now, despite the existence of his personal law, he has decided to subject himself to a legal system that says that you are only entitled to marry one woman under that system. Once you have subjected yourself, and that's why there are many Ghanaians that go abroad, subject themselves to that system, and are barred from taking another person as a wife. Now,
let me bring the question back to America again. Treat me as one of your students. An American senator, his son goes to Harvard, meets an Iranian woman who also comes to Harvard. The Iranian woman is strictly governed by Islamic law. He gets married to the Iranian woman in Tehran under Islamic law, which allows him to marry 4 or 5 women. Does the American jurisprudence recognize that this American citizen has contracted a marriage that is opposite to the American marriage system? If it doesn't, After he's married this Iranian woman, he marries another Iraqi woman. And then he marries another woman from Jordan. 3 wives. And that's Islamic law. He's able to do that. Now he says, issue them with American passports.
But what is his personal law as an American citizen?
That's what I'm saying. Lumba's personal law is Ghanaian. It's Ashanti.
But he subjected himself.
So the American guy subjected himself to Islamic law.
But who is the administrator? You see, in this instance, there is fixed statutes.
What does that mean?
The statute is I can't find a law.
I know what statutes mean. What Parliament will pass.
What Parliament will pass. And Parliament is
Mm-hmm.
fixed. Parliament has said this is the law that applies to persons who marry with this procedure. So if you want to marry multiple persons, he should have contracted customary marriage. He should have come here in Ghana, gone to Kwamu, and gone to marry multiple persons. But because he intended for it to be monogamous, that is why he took her and married her according to monogamous law.
He was unaware that he was doing a monogamous law because this lady is Ghanaian.
Oh, they would have told
and so, because this lady is Ghanaian and he's Ghanaian, and they find themselves in Germany and they want to get married. And in Germany, if you have to get married, after you do the adwa and the deba, you still have to go and sign something. As far as he's concerned, that's what he was doing. Because his personal law is Akan customary law.
But you have subjected yourself knowingly, and you must know. You must know the ramifications of the forms of marriage you intend. In fact, at that sitting, when you are signing, the officer would inform you that this is what you are getting yourself into.
That is 30 years ago.
So how he forgot?
Did the officer inform? Do you know?
Oh, but that is what's supposed to be
but
done.
Then
the officer issuing the certificate will tell you.
The State Department should issue all the 3 women with American passports. If the young American man has married one Iranian under Islamic law, after that married a Jordanian under Islamic law, and married an Iraqi under Islamic law.
Iran recognizes, Iraq recognizes, Jordan recognizes, America doesn't recognize.
Why won't America recognize?
Because that is America's law.
So Lumba is Ghanaian.
But that is German. That is German law. So once you have subjected yourself to, when you go to Rome, you do what?
But the American subjected himself to Islamic law to marry the Iranian guy.
So if you've subjected yourself to Islamic law, you subject. But don't come and force the American states to adhere to the terms of your choice.
So the American states will ask him, choose the wife you want us to issue the passport.
Yes.
Because we are going to issue to only one wife.
And even that one, once you choose, make sure you come and perform American marriage. One that is recognized. So that is why I said that monogamous marriage.
As it is, the American State Department will not recognize that polygamous marriage that you have gone to do.
Yes, so it may be recognized for other purposes. But for the purpose of papers, issuing of papers and all those things, it is only one wife that has been contracted under a monogamous system. That is why when you come to Ghana and you go to Christ the King, and you marry at Christ the King, you can still use that to apply for papers in the US. That is why when you go and marry at AMA, you can still use that to apply for papers in the US. But if you go and marry...
Because it fits with US
law. Exactly.